Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel FreeCAD Fun, and today I will create this practice of sheet metal with the U shape of sheet metal and the hole with the small around the hole, and then also the slot and the small hole in the left and the right of a slot, and also the two slot in the base plate. So now let's go to FreeCAD. Now I'm going to workbench part design, so create sketch and then click the XY plane. Okay, now let's take a look at the dimension, and I will create the base plate with the dimension 120 and the height 70. So create rectangle. Now I will click this point, and this point become symmetric, and then click this horizontal line for the dimension 120. Okay, and then this vertical line for dimension 70 millimeter. Okay, sketch of base plate is created. Now we can close the sketch. Okay, now we go to the sheet metal workbench. Okay, now click the sketch for the sheet metal wall. Okay, click this. Now we can check the parameter. So let's take a look to the drawing for the thickness 6 millimeter. Okay, now let's change thickness for 6 millimeter. Okay, for the radius, let's check the drawing. Radius same, also 6 millimeter. Now click to change to 6 millimeter. Okay, now I will create the light. Okay, direction. Okay, now for the color, create appearance. Let's create purple. Okay, or maybe let's create again appearance. Let's say blue one. this blue. Okay, cyan. Okay, now close the color. So now for the bend, we'll create for the height of 60 millimeter, and then the other one for 35 plus 35, so 70 millimeter. Okay, now click this edge for the bend. So click this bend and create direction, invert, click for true. Okay, now for the height, in this parameter length for 60 millimeter. Okay, and the radius of 6 millimeter. Okay, now for the new band, click this edge, click the extend, same with the parameter, click the invert for true. Okay, and the length 70 millimeter and the radius 6 millimeter. Okay, now go to the body for appearance, click emerald and then click for cyan. Okay, now close the color. Now we can create the pocket. Can go to the part design and click this face and then click sketch. Now we can create this slot for the width of 12 and the distance between center 20 and distance from the axis also 20. Okay, now create this slot. Okay, okay, now click this point with this axis for the distance 20 millimeter. Okay, this point, distance between center for the dimension also 20 millimeter, and then for the radius millimeter. Okay, now can also create again slot. This point, distance for 20 millimeter. This point with the axis distance 20 millimeter. Okay, now radius for 6 millimeter. Okay, now the sketch for base plate in the middle already created. We can close the sketch and we can create pocket. For the dimension, let's create the first. Okay, now can create the pocket. Okay, now the pocket in the middle has been created. Oh, we can create this Arcus also for the radius 35 and the distance 10 millimeter. Okay, let's go back to the sketch and create the Arcus, center. Okay, let's check to the drawing. 35 millimeter and then 10 millimeter, so the distance center 25. Now we can create external geometry. And then create this point with the external geometry with the distance 25 millimeter. Okay, and then create radius 35. Okay, now create this point with this line into fix, also this point and the line into fix, and we can click this for the mirror, click this line for the mirror. Okay, so create this external geometry. Create this external geometry and then click this point with this line for distance 25. Okay, and click this point with this external into fix, and this point with the external geometry, click fix. Okay, so check for the degree of freedom. Let's see, okay, now the center with this axis into fix. Okay, now the sketch is green. Now create the line here. Okay, and also line from this point to this point. Okay, now the sketch is green. Now we can close the sketch. Now the Arcus has been created. So after this pocket, let's check for the flatten in the sheet metal workbench, and we can click this face. Now we can try for this flatten folded. Okay, now we go to the click for the NC. Okay, let's check for this K factor. Okay, so the folded plate has been created. Now let's try hide this sheet metal. Okay, now this is the flatten. The flatten plate can hide the line. Okay, so we go back to the sheet metal and hide the unfold. Now for the next pocket, we can create this slot with the hole. Now let's go to this face and we go to part design, click for sketch. Now we can create slot. Okay, now let's take a look for the base dimension. 35 from the center, for the width 15. Okay, now click this center point. Before we create external geometry. Okay, now we can create the distance between the center and this line. For dimension 35 millimeter. Okay, now for the other dimension we click this radius for 15 millimeter. Okay, let's take a look again. Oh, wide 50 millimeter, so the radius 7.5. Okay, now create for the distance between center. Let's create 40 millimeter. Okay, next for the hole, for the dimension 10 millimeter, 10 millimeter, 10 millimeter, and the diameter of 6 and distance between 25 millimeters. So click this circle and click this point with this line for distance 10 millimeter. Okay, this point and this point for distance 10 millimeter. and the dimension of 6 millimeter. Okay, create again. The diameter of 6 millimeter. Okay, and the distance, this point and this line for the (25) plus 10 millimeter, 35. Okay, and then this point with this point for the horizontal distance 10 millimeter. Okay, so click this circle and this circle and the axis for the mirror. Okay, for the green we click again, 2 point for distance, this point and this point, distance 10 millimeter. Okay, this point and this point, distance 25, this point and this point for the horizontal. Okay, and this point for the horizontal dimension 10 millimeter. Okay, now all the sketch turn green. So can close the sketch now. Now we can create pocket. For the thickness, same with the plate. Okay, now click OK. Okay, now pocket in the left side of the bending has been created. Let's check for the drawing. Okay, same with this. So now for the next one, we create the pocket for the right side of the bending. So here's the dimension. For the diameter 25 in the center, and for the PCD diameter 40, and the small circle for diameter 6, and then the distance is center to the bottom 35, and also the outside diameter for 35. Okay, let's click this face and then create sketch and create circle in the middle. Okay, for the distance, center to this bottom of the plate 35 millimeter. Okay, for the diameter 25 millimeter. Okay, the circle, 4 circle. Let's try in the bottom. For the distance 40 divided by 220 millimeter radius. So create this circle for the distance between these 2 points, 20 millimeter. Okay, and now for diameter of the small circle, 6 millimeter. Okay, now click this circle and then let's try I think we create again the circle in the upper. Okay, in the right and on the left. Let's click this point with this point distance 0. Okay, this point with this axis for 20 millimeter. And this point with this axis line for 0. Okay, so this point with this center for distance 20 millimeter. Okay, now for this distance from center to the small of center, 20 millimeter. Okay, now click this small circle, 3. For the diameter, let's make it same diameter, 6 millimeter. Okay, now create for the degree. Let's check for the distance, this point and this point for the vertical dimension 0 millimeter. Okay, now the sketch is green. Let's close the sketch and then create pocket. For the thickness, same with the blade thickness. Okay, so here it is, the last pocket. Let's take a look with the drawing. Oh, I think forgot this, so I will create the circle, the outside. Let's go back to the sketch. Now we create the Arcus from this center to this left side to the right side. Okay, now this point and the center. For the distance 0. Okay, and this point to the center also 0. Sorry. Okay, make it 0. And then the radius 35. Okay, now create polyline. Okay, let's create this point and this point, and the axis for symmetry, and then create dimension for 70. Okay, now for the 1 degree, this line with this point. For the distance 35. Okay, so let's check a look again. Okay, then this line to this point. For the distance this point to the this point distance. Okay, let's say 40 millimeter. Okay, now the sketch is green. Can check. Okay, so close the sketch. Oh, okay, now let's go back to the sketch. I will edit this distance for 50. Okay, so let's close again. Now the last pocket has been created, so let's take a look with the drawing. I think it's same. Okay, now I think practice is finished. Let's take a look for the all pocket. Okay, oh, I forgot for the flatten, so let's take a look for the unfold. We can unhide, so there is not yet created for the pocket. We can delete the unfold and then create new unfold. So we go to the sheet metal, click for the face of base metal, and then click for the folded, flatten folded. Okay, click for the din or NC. Let's NC again. Okay, now the flatten fold has been created. Now we can hide first for the last pocket for the sheet metal, and we can hide the line of the band. So this is the flatten for the sheet metal. Okay, hide sheet metal. So this is the sheet metal and the flatten. Okay, I think this practice for sheet metal I'm going to end here. Thanks for watching again. See you next time. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.